Okay folks, today I'm going to talk a little bit about patterning your shotgun for turkeys. Talk a little bit about turkey shotguns and also ammunition and chokes. And I'm going to show you some pattern targets that are pretty incredibly impressive. I started turkey hunting back in 1985, and back then we didn't have many choices, pretty much fixed chokes, very few turkey loads dedicated, and those that we had were obviously lead. They didn't have the Hevishot or tungsten super steel at that time. And you were lucky to get a gun and load that would pattern well out to 35 yards. TSS and Hevishot has really changed the game tremendously. I can say that I patterned 6 different chokes and patterned, let's see, 7 different types of ammunition. 2 were just straight number 6 lead that were somewhat unimpressive, but the other 5 shells that I used were very impressive, and I have to say any of them would be really good shells to use. Now, I'm not going to say that just because I'm shooting this video and showing you what these loads can do, that it'll do it in your gun. Even if you have the same exact gun that I have, the chances of it patterning exactly the same as mine with the same choke and load even are pretty slim. So keep that in mind. But what I'm hoping to do here is to provide you some information that you can take with you and say, okay, I'll buy this, this, and this instead of 8 different loads, maybe just 3 different loads, and then pattern them with 2 or 3 different chokes. So keep that in mind. Okay, talk a little bit about the shotgun and why I'm doing this patterning. I started out, my first shotgun for turkey hunting dedicated that I purchased was a 10 gauge single shot, full choke, very long gun. It was made more for duck hunting. Then I went to a 12 gauge Remington pump shotgun. That was a good gun, but decided I needed to go bigger and better. So I ended up buying a 10 gauge Remington SP10, which is a great auto-loading shotgun, a great 10 gauge auto-loader, mainly for ducks and turkey. But that gun is heavy. It's over 10 pounds. And I've been going on at least 1 or 2 out-of-state trips a year, and with some of those come a lot of walking, and that 10 gauge just was too heavy. So I switched over to a Thompson Center Encore single shot, very light 12 gauge, and it was very impressive on patterning, out past 40 yards, 45 yards. Used that for the longest time, and then 2 years ago I was hunting in Florida and had a bird come in. I couldn't see him until he was about 15 steps. And that made me think, if he had moved or spooked, if I hadn't drawn a very fine bead on that bird, I'd have missed him, because at 15 yards, I was using Hevishot at the time. It was a very tight pattern at 15 yards. So I made the decision to go with an overrun shotgun, the Weatherby Orion over-under, and I've been pleased with the way it patterned. It gives me an option. Now I've got short to medium range barrel that's got, I ended up putting a 675 choke in that barrel, and that is for anywhere from say 10-12 yards out to about 35. It patterns real well. And then for my other barrel, I ended up with the North Wind is choke. I think it's 662. That's what I decided on. But really, the 660 Carlson and the True Lock and the Undertaker were all really good. But they really did a good job. So on the ammunition, let me just say what ammunition I'm using. My short range to medium range barrel, I'm using Nitro Company 2 1/4 ounces of number 7.5 nickel shot, nickel plated lead shot, not nickel shot. I've been using Nitro Company ammunition since before Hevishot even came out, so that tells you how long I've been using it. Back in the days of nothing but lead, that's all we had to choose from. They have always, from that point forward, the first day I started using their shells, they always out-patterned everything else, bar none. I've never had any shotgun that I patterned for turkeys with their shells that they didn't beat the pants off of any of the commercially available ammunition. Now, I'm not going to say that's going to hold true for you, but and they are expensive. We'll get into that in a minute. So it's a trade-off. But that's one I patterned. The Longbeard XR, which is the only lead shot that I would use, straight lead shot. The number 6 straight Remingtons and Federals, they just don't pattern as well as these others. The Hevishot and the TSS do much better, but this Winchester has come up with an encapsulation process that basically holds the shot together out the barrel. It's really incredible. All my patterning boards were set at 50 yards, and these really held their own very well against the Hevishot and the TSS. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to use them. I would, because they'll certainly do the job, but the TSS just beats the pants off of them. But they will kill turkeys, and the pattern is a great pattern, and it's somewhat of a bargain shotgun shell. So if you're on a budget, this is probably do all you ever need. A buddy of mine sent me a text 2 days ago saying that he had measured killing a bird at 62 yards with these shells. And I believe it. I mean, he's trustworthy. He measured it. Now, that being said, that may be pushing the limits a little bit of a number 6 lead at 62 yards, but I wouldn't hesitate to use them at 50 yards all day long. I use 2 different types of TSS. The Federal TSS, which is 1 3/4 ounce of 9-shot. Now, I know you're cringing when I say 9-shot if you don't know what TSS is, but this tungsten stuff, a number 9 shot, is actually the equivalent of a 5 lead, that much energy. I also used Nitro Company number 9 TSS. But remember, the Federal had 1 3/4 ounce. I want you to take a look and see how much this has got. 2 5/16 ounces. That's quite a bit more shot than the Federal, and they outperformed the Federal. I mean, obviously you got more shot in the shell that it's the same size. It's gonna generally pattern better. Generally, one thing I will caution you on is the fact that some of these chokes I'm using are not made for TSS, and certainly not this. Even the True Lock was made specifically for Federal Tungsten Super Steel. I'm sorry, Federal Tungsten Super Shot. Made specifically for it. It is a 650. It's a little tight, and Nitro Company told me do not use it with their shells, with this shell anyway. So keep that in mind. I did use several different, I just almost forgot. I don't have the box here. Can't find the box right now, but Hevishot number 7s, they have the equivalent energy of a number 5 lead as well. And they did quite well in these tests. I was very impressed with the Hevishot number 7s. So that's another one to keep in mind. Okay, so shotgun. What I'm using here is a Weatherby Orion over under. I bought it on eBay. No, I didn't buy that on it. I bought a lot of the chokes used on eBay, but I didn't buy the gun on eBay because you can't buy anything on eBay related to guns except for parts. Anyway, I bought it on gunbroker.com, and I had to watch for several months, but I picked up this shotgun for about $5.50, and for a Weatherby over under, that's a good price. It had such a good finish on it. I really wanted to beat up one, but it had such a good finish on it that I had to dig around eBay and find some Kane gun chaps, K-A-N-E. They're old school, vinyl. They look horrible. They're not classy at all, but I want something that'll protect your shotgun and cover up the shines. That's all I wanted. The other thing I'll tell you that you need to do on any turkey shotgun is get a set of these Williams fire sights or something equivalent. They clamp right onto the vent rib, and you can dial it in. And trust me, shotguns, a lot of shotguns are just a tad off at where they're hitting. And with this tight shooting stuff these days, you can really miss a lot of turkeys if you don't really have it fine-tuned. The other thing it does is it makes you actually aim at the turkey's head instead of just pointing like you're used to doing with a shotgun. So I love these things. They're not that expensive and well worth the investment. So let's see, the chokes that I used, a 640 Carlson, but not with the Hevishot or the TSS. I used a 660 Carlson, I want to say a 662 Northwind, Undertaker 665, and a 675 Carlson. And I settled on, for my short to medium range barrel, the 675 choke, and in that barrel I'm using these. This is a number 7.5 nickel plated shot, 2 1/4 ounces. It's a turkey load that Nitro Company makes. And as I've said, they are just an excellent ammunition maker for turkey loads. Anyway, so the 7.5 nickel plated shot, I can shoot anywhere from 10 yards to about 35 yards with a good pattern with that combination. And I'll show you the other, I'll actually show you the patterns here in a minute. So the shells, I'm really impressed with the shells, I have to say. They really have come a long way with shells these days. Let's see, and I wouldn't hesitate to use any of these shells I've got laying here. Keep in mind, I forgot to bring or I couldn't find the Hevi-Shot box, but the TSS from Nitro Company, Federal, Browning's got a TSS that was not available when I patterned this last year. So, and again, the Longbeard XR number 6 lead, I was very impressed with the pattern out at 50 yards. I would not hesitate to use that, certainly if you're on a budget. Those are, you get more shells for the money. So, all right, let's see. I need to go ahead and let's go over and look at some of these patterns. And one thing I want to mention to you too is that I really like doing this. This is an overhead transparency. The plastic, you can put it in a photocopier and you can print it off. This is not an easy target to find anymore. You can find it on Google if you Google it, but you look at the new ones, I believe, have colors on the head, so you can't see through it when you photocopy it. This one I like because it's transparent and you can't see the kills on it. But what's great about that is all you do is slide it over the target and see if there's a hole. See if there's a hole where you could not kill that turkey. And in this case, this is a 10-inch circle. I did a 10-inch circle for every one of these tests. And this is actually Longbeard XR with a Northwind choke. And this is at 50 yards, number 6 lead, 50 yards. So, fairly impressive. This is a Longbeard XR with a 640 Carlton choke. Not sure if you can see all the strikes in there. Some of them shown dark, but some of them are not shown. So keep that in mind. See that right there? Those are just where the paper folds back in, but that's hits. That's hits. Okay. Move on to the Hevishot. Now this first circle here is where I was aiming, but I was adjusting my sights constantly I adjusted them up close first, but then found out that you had to do some fine-tuning adjusting because this stuff shoots so tight. This is actually, I ended up moving my sights. So point of aim should have been right around in here somewhere. Anyway, it shot low. But see, that is Hevishot with Undertaker. That's 50 yards, folks. That's pretty damn impressive. Okay, I had to put some weight on these. Wind kept blowing them off. This is Hevishot with a true lock choke. Pretty impressive. I mean, a 10-inch circle, that's a lot of pellets. I mean, you would kill a turkey with either of the Longbeard, the XR Longbeard, or any of these Hevishots, any of the tungsten, at 50 yards. 50 yards, people. Pretty impressive. That is a Hevishot with a 660. 660. Now again, this is from my gun. And I was constantly trying to tune it in and dial it in while I was doing this. All right, this is a Federal Tungsten Super Shot North Wind choke. That's pretty impressive. This is a true lock choke that's made specifically for the Tungsten Super Shot. Now this one shifted over a little bit. I was aiming here. I probably pulled it to the right a little bit, so I put the circle on the concentration of pellets, but I ended up adjusting, and my new point of aim would have been down here somewhere. But again, very impressive. It's the Federal Tungsten Super Shot. One other one I failed to mention that I used, Nitro Company 8x9 Tungsten Super Shot. Okay, with these I started counting pellets, and in this circle, again, I was shooting up here, but this is before I adjusted my sights. In this circle, 226 pellets in a 10-inch circle at 50 yards. This is Nitro 8x9 TSS with Undertaker choke tube. 271 pellets in a 10-inch circle. That's 50 yards. Unbelievable. And the Carlson 660 with Nitro Company 8x9 TSS. Again, this is before I adjusted my sights properly. 277 pellets in that 10-inch circle. I mean, a turkey, and that's 50 yards. Again, I keep saying that, but it's just stunning to me, that type of pattern at 50 yards. Okay, so this is the Nitro Company 660, Nitro Company number 9 TSS with a 660 Carlson choke. Counted 307 pellets in that 10-inch circle. Nitro Company number 9 TSS with an Undertaker choke tube. 311 pellets in that circle. 10 inches at 50 yards, people. All right, and this one, North Wind choke with Nitro Company number 9s. And my sights were about adjusted right here, just a tad off. But anyway, 389 pellets in this 10-inch circle at 50 yards. So the bottom line is, I know that the Nitro Company ammo is expensive, but honestly, how often do you turkey hunt anyway? If you kill, what, 2 birds a year, you're looking at 26 bucks. I mean, I'm tight with my money. You can ask my wife. I'm real tight, but I'll be honest with you. I buy these. That's what I use. Not trying to tell you to use them. The Hevishot was really impressive. The Federal TSS was impressive. Really impressive. I was really impressed with this Longbeard, this Longbeard XR Winchester, number 6 lead. but there's no doubt in my mind that this could be a 70-yard shell. I'm not saying I would shoot that far, but you know, there are some circumstances where a bird gets clipped or something and starts hobbling off and you need to finish it off. It's handy to have something you can punch them down at long distance. So anyway, well, I'm about finished up with my video. I went too long anyway, but just stay tuned for more management videos. I'll be posting some videos about turkey hunting and managing for turkeys as well down the road. So stay tuned for more management videos. Hope you enjoyed this one.